Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. Follow the show's Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. You can support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. I am on Cash App and Venmo at TheJoey Harris. And folks, right here at the top, just trying to get caught up. It's still my crazy time at work. So I wanted to acknowledge some passings that we've had recently. And first of all, Wild Samoan Alpha passed away, it was about 5-6 weeks after his teammate Sika. So one of those people just so influential, just from their tag team to all the Samoans that are in wrestling today to the people that he trained at his academy. So our thoughts and prayers go out to his friends, fans, and family, as well as Dennis Brent, longtime behind the scenes magazine guy. Started out at World Class with Fritz von Erich and then worked for Bill Watts and went into JCP after the Crockett's took over Watts' territory and worked for WCW for the Wrestling Wrap-Up and then the WCW magazine. And then when Jim Ross went to the WWF, took Dennis Brent as well as his wife with him. So he had been battling MS for years, but I believe they said that he passed away from cancer. So our thoughts and prayers go out to his friends and family and fans, as well as I just heard this, folks. If I had recorded this earlier when I wanted to, I would not have gotten this, but as we record today, I got word that Sid had passed away. Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, Psycho Sid. However, you knew him as just one of the great big men in the business. And you have to think, was in 2 WrestleManias and main evented 2 WrestleManias when not a lot of people can say that you main event every WrestleMania that you've ever been in. That is impressive. Had been battling cancer and it hit him, and folks, this hits hard because you're starting to get a lot of the people that I grew up watching and knowing. So just our thoughts and prayers go out to his friends, fans, and family. Going on from that, today we look at WrestleMania 10 from the WWF. WrestleMania 10 was shown on pay-per-view on March the 20th, 1994 from Madison Square Garden in New York City. There were 18,065 in attendance, and it had a North American buy rate of 420,000 pay-per-view buys. The Heavenly Bodies, Tom Pritchard and Jimmy Del Rey with Jim Cornette, defeated the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch, in a dark match. Intro looking back at WrestleMania and saying 10 years in the making because Vince McMahon doesn't know how to count. Speaking of Vince McMahon, he welcomes us to WrestleMania and brings out Little Richard to sing America the Beautiful. Little Richard does a good job. McMahon then brings in the returning Jerry Lawler to be the color commentator for the event. Flashback to what led up to the Bret and Owen Hart match. The rumor that was going around about this match when I was a teenager, folks, and I've talked about it many times, that I didn't have cable growing up, so of course I couldn't get this pay-per-view. And there was a rumor going around that this match lasted like 10 seconds, that the bell rings, Bret immediately falls down and Owen pins him so that Bret doesn't get hurt. He takes the pinfall loss, but he doesn't get hurt going into his match with Yokozuna later on. And there were people who believed this. I believed it because I didn't have cable, and it hung around for quite a while. I think a couple of weeks, because for some reason I didn't see Superstars or whatever I was watching at the time for the weeks after that. Then I'm like, oh wait, no, they had a match and Owen won, but I don't know how that rumor started when I was a teenager. But we go to Bret versus Owen Hart. Owen out first. Bret gets a tremendous ovation when he comes out. Bret does his sunglasses presentation. A "Let's Go Bret" chant goes out as the bell rings. Owen with the early advantage. Bret reverses into a headlock. Owen escapes. Even pace match to begin. Owen with the waist lock. Bret gets to the ropes and ducks down. Owen falls outside. Owen slaps Bret. They trade hammerlocks. Back and forth. Owen with a wrist lock. They do a series of reversals. Fast-paced match. Bret with an arm lock. The "Let's Go Bret" chant goes out again. Owen up and Bret with a clothesline to knock Owen out. Bret throws Owen back in. They shove each other. Bret with a crucifix for a 2 count. Bret with an armbar. Owen with a spinning heel kick. Owen kicks Bret to the outside. Owen runs Bret back first into the barricade. Back in the ring, Owen focuses on injuring Bret's back. Owen with a camel clutch. Bret breaks out. Owen with a power slam for a 2 count. Bret reverses a crossbody for a 2 count. Owen goes back to working on the body. A failed scoop slam by Owen and Bret gets a 2 count. Owen with a Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count. Bret with a small package for a 2 count. Owen with a pile driver and he goes to his knees for this one. That's strange if you know the SummerSlam 1997 Steve Austin story. Owen misses a diving headbutt when Bret moves. Both men down. Bret with a flurry of offense for a 2 count. He goes into the 5 moves of doom. He gets a series of 2 counts. Owen is begging off. He suckers Bret and goes for the sharpshooter. Bret reverses and goes for the sharpshooter. Owen gets out and gets a roll up for a 2 count. They roll out and Bret looks like he's hurt his knee. Back in, Owen goes after the injured knee. He slams the knee into the ring post. He continues to work on the injured knee. Owen gets a leg lock on. Owen gets the figure 4 on. Bret is fighting to get out. He gets to the ropes. Owen attacks the leg again. Bret coming back. Bret with a corner whip for a 2 count. Bret with a bulldog for another 2 count. Bret with a pile driver for a 2 count. Bret with a superplex for a close 2 count. Back and forth. Owen with a mule kick. Owen with a sharpshooter. Bret taps, but that wasn't a thing yet. Bret reverses, but Owen gets to the ropes. Owen reverses a corner whip. Bret gets his foot up on the charge and goes for a victory roll, but Owen drops down to get the clean pin. The crowd can't believe it, but Owen does get some cheers. Owen celebrates. Todd Pettengill interviews Owen. He says he's the best there is, was, or ever will be. He says this is a great moment for him. He says he doesn't think Bret can win the title after this. WrestleMania 2 moment is the Battle Royal. Bill Dunn introduces Cy Sperling for the Hair Club for Men. He brings out the new Howard Finkel, who has hair. Mixed tag team match. Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon versus Doink and Dink. Doink and Dink get a great reaction. They spray Cy with their flour. Bigelow attacks Doink in the ring. All Bigelow to begin, but he misses a leg drop. Doink comes back with an armbar. They trade blows. Dink and Luna tagged in. Dink avoiding Luna. Luna attacking Dink. She misses a splash and Dink gets a 2 count. Luna takes Dink down with a kick. Dink misses a splash. Dink slammed down. She misses a splash. Doink and Bigelow tagged in. Doink clothesline to the outside. Luna and Bigelow go after Doink. Doink goes for a sunset flip, but Bigelow slams down on Doink. Back and forth. Doink gets Bigelow down and goes up top. He misses a leg drop. Bigelow knocks Dink off the apron and gets a side suplex for a 2 count. Bigelow attacks Doink. He hits the top rope headbutt to get the pin. Bigelow and Luna attack Dink after the match. They show a Bill Clinton impersonator in the crowd. The WrestleMania 3 moment is Hulk Hogan facing Andre the Giant. Falls Count Anywhere match. Randy Savage versus Crush with Mr. Fuji. This is Savage's swan song. He attacks Crush in the aisle. Crush with a backbreaker. Crush drops Savage on the barricade and pins him. Savage has 60 seconds to get back in the ring. Fuji attacks Savage, but he gets in the ring with 2 seconds left. Crush continues to attack. He puts Savage in the Tree of Woe. Fuji gives Crush some salt, but Savage hits Crush and it goes into Crush's eyes. Savage with a scoop slam and an elbow drop. He brings Crush outside and pins him. Fuji comes over and slaps Crush and pours water on him. Crush gets back in with 2 seconds left. They fight to the outside. Crush attacks Savage. They trade blows. Savage runs Crush into the ring steps. They fight down an aisle. Savage backdrops Crush on the aisle. They fight to the back. Savage gets a pin. He ties Crush's foot up in a pulley and ties Crush up to win the match. Fuji goes to attack Savage, but gets pushed down. Todd Pettengill interviews Bill Clinton. He says he's having a good time. IRS is also in the box and says the president is doing a good job. Pettengill then goes over the fan fest that took place. They then show Randy Savage celebrating with the fans at the Paramount. WrestleMania 4 moment of Randy Savage winning the tournament. WWF Women's Championship match. Alundra Blaze versus Leilani Kai. Kai with an early flurry of offense. Blaze with a sunset flip for a 2 count. Blaze with a head scissors for a 2 count. Kai slams Blaze down by her hair. Blaze with a clothesline. Blaze with a high knee. Blaze gets a series of 2 counts. Blaze with a Northern Light suplex to get the pin. WrestleMania 5 moment is Roddy Piper's confrontation with Brother Love and Morton Downey Jr. WWF Tag Team Championship match. The Quebecers Jacques and Pierre with Johnny Polo versus Men on a Mission Mo and Mabel with Oscar. Men on a Mission out first with Oscar rapping. Todd Pettengill interviews Rhonda Shear from Up All Night. Shawn Michaels and then Burt Reynolds interrupt. The Quebecers try to double team Mabel, who comes back with a double clothesline. Mo and Pierre start. Mo with a crossbody for a 2 count. Double team on Pierre. Mo gets another 2 count. The Quebecers double team Mo. Pierre gets a 2 count on Mo. Mo goes outside and Pierre backdropped onto Mo. Pierre gets another 2 count. Jacques tagged in and gets a 2 count. Mo comes back with a cannonball. Jacques lures Mabel in so the Quebecers can double team Mo. Pierre tagged in and misses a top rope leg drop. Mabel tagged in. He cleans house and sidewalk slams Jacques, but misses a corner splash. Double team to Mabel. They double suplex Mabel and actually get some cheers. Cannonball to Mabel for a 2 count. Mabel starts to come back. Mabel clotheslines Jacques. Mo tagged in and they do the inverted suplex slam and Mo covers Jacques, but the referee is distracted by Polo. Mo clears the ring. Men on a Mission win via countout, but the titles don't change hands. Men on a Mission grab the titles anyway. Our WrestleMania 6 moment is Warrior versus Hogan. Rhonda Shear and Donnie Wahlberg are introduced. Special guest referee Mr. Perfect is introduced. WWF Championship match. Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette versus Lex Luger. Luger gets an amazing reaction when he comes out. Ronda rings the bell, but it takes a while to get started. They trade clotheslines, and Yokozuna knocks Luger down. Luger responds by knocking Yokozuna to the outside. Luger follows and slams Yokozuna into the ring steps. Luger gets Yoko back in and crossbodies Yoko. He gets a 2 count. Luger with a series of 2 counts, but can't get the pin. Yokozuna comes back. He clotheslines Luger on the second rope. Yoko falls on Luger after a missed slam attempt to get a 2 count. Yokozuna on offense. Yoko takes off a turnbuckle cover. They trade shots. Luger chopped to the mat. Yoko with a nerve hold. A USA chant goes out. Luger trying to get out of the hold. Luger gets to his feet. He breaks the hold, but can't knock Yoko down. Yoko with a series of chops before going back to the nerve hold. Fuji waves the Japanese flag. Luger gets out of the hold, only to get thrown outside of the ring by Yoko. Luger gets back in, and Yokozuna goes back to the nerve hold, as it has worked for him so far. Fuji waves the flag as the USA chant goes out again. Luger fighting out again. He avoids 2 clothesline attempts, but runs into a belly-to-belly suplex from Yoko. Yoko goes to run Luger into the exposed buckle, but Luger reverses and Yoko goes in instead. Luger with 3 clotheslines, and Yoko goes down. Luger slams Yoko and hits the forearm. Cornette and Fuji come in, and he hits them too. Luger covers, but Perfect is checking on Cornette and Fuji. Luger shoves Perfect, asking him what he's doing, and Perfect disqualifies Luger and leaves. The crowd chants bullshit. Todd Pettengill interviews Mr. Perfect. He says he called it down the middle. Luger comes back and confronts Perfect. Officials separate the two. Vince and Lawler discuss what happened as the bullshit chant continues. WrestleMania 7 moment is the blindfold match between Jake Roberts and Rick Martel. Harvey Whippleman yells at Howard Finkel and puts Finkel down. Finkel then pushes Whippleman down. Adam Bomb comes down and grabs Finkel. Earthquake comes in and attacks Bomb from behind. He hits the belly-to-belly suplex as the bell for the match begins. Earthquake with a power slam and the sit-down splash to get the pin. Todd Pettengill interviews Jim Cornette. Cornette says they got past Lex Luger. He then tells Bret Hart he won't get past Yokozuna and his career will be over. WrestleMania 8 moment is The Undertaker's entrance. WWF Intercontinental Championship ladder match. Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels with Diesel. Michaels and Diesel out first. Michaels is milking his entrance. Ramon gets a great reaction when he comes out. He goes under the ladder to head to the ring. The bell rings. They slowly circle each other. Michaels with a hammerlock. Ramon with a choke slam. Michaels with a neck breaker. Michaels on offense. Ramon with a shoulder block. He goes to rush Michaels, who drops down, and Ramon falls out of the ring. Diesel attacks Ramon on the outside. Referee Earl Hebner throws Diesel out. Diesel screams at Hebner, but he does leave. Ramon attacks Michaels. Michaels overselling as he gets clotheslined out. I will give you a minute to recover from your amazement. Ramon follows and takes up a ringside mat. Michaels thumbs Ramon in the eye and throws him back in. Ramon with a right hand and goes for the razor's edge, but Michaels backdrops Ramon out of the ring and onto the concrete. Michaels goes after the ladder. Ramon hits Michaels before he can bring the ladder in. Michaels baseball slides the ladder into Ramon. Michaels runs Ramon into the ring steps. Michaels throws the ladder into the ring and runs it into Ramon again. He slams the ladder into Ramon several times. He then throws it at Ramon. Michaels sets the ladder up and starts to climb. Ramon grabs Michaels by the tights, and there's a full moon at MSG. Michaels then drops an elbow on Ramon from the ladder. Michaels sets the ladder in the corner and splashes Ramon from the ladder. Michaels sets the ladder up and starts to climb, but Ramon pushes the ladder over, and Michaels guillotines himself on the top rope. Both men down. They collide in the ring again, and both men are down. Michaels up and grabs the ladder. He sets it in the corner. Ramon reverses a corner whip into the ladder, and Michaels goes up and over to the outside. Ramon takes the ladder out of the ring and hits Michaels with it several times. Ramon sets the ladder up and catapults Michaels into it. They get back in, and Ramon uses the ladder as a battering ram to knock Michaels out of the ring again. Ramon sets the ladder up and starts to climb. Michaels climbs to the top rope and hits Ramon with a double axe handle to knock Ramon off, but the ladder falls on Michaels. The ladder is set up again, and both start to climb. Ramon suplexes Michaels off the ladder. The ladder is twisted. Ramon starts to climb, but Michaels kicks the ladder, and Ramon falls off. Michaels tips the ladder over on Ramon. Michaels hits a super kick on Ramon. Michaels moves Ramon and hits a pile driver on Ramon. Michaels takes the ladder and drives it down on Ramon from the corner. Michaels sets the ladder up over the fallen Ramon and starts to climb. Ramon pushes the ladder over, and Michaels gets caught in the ropes. Ramon climbs the ladder and retrieves both belts to win. Ramon then holds the belts high on the ladder to celebrate. They say the 10-man tag is canceled because the heel group can't decide who's captain to cover that the ladder match went too long. Todd Pettengill talks to Bill Clinton again, and Ted DiBiase tells him everybody's got a price. WrestleMania 9 moment is Randy Savage's entrance and Bret Hart losing the title. This is followed by a flashback to what led to the final match with a feature on Bret Hart and Yokozuna. Burt Reynolds and Jenny Garth are introduced as the guest ring announcer and timekeeper. WWF Championship match. Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette versus Bret Hart. Reynolds introduces Roddy Piper as the special guest referee. Yoko and company out first. Hart gets a tremendous reaction when he comes out. Hart comes out limping, and Yoko attacks him as soon as he gets in. Yoko is on the offensive as Hart struggles to get away. Hart out on his feet. Hart does get a drop kick and some punches. Yokozuna chokes Hart on the second rope. Piper stops Yoko and they go face to face. Cornette gets on the apron and Piper gets him off. Yoko misses a splash when Hart moves. Hart with a series of right hands and a headbutt. Both men down. I've been distracted by a guy in the front row who looks like the dad from Just the 10 of Us. Yokozuna rakes the eye. They trade blows. Hart gets Yokozuna down. Hart covers Yoko, but Cornette pulls Piper out before he can count. Piper decks Cornette. Yoko with a diving headbutt to Hart. Yoko chokes and drops a leg on Hart. Yoko throws Hart out of the ring. Hart gets in on the 9 count. Yoko attacks Hart in the corner. Yoko misses a corner splash when Hart moves. Hart with a bulldog for a 2 count. Hart with a second rope elbow drop for a 2 count. Hart with a clothesline for another 2 count. Hart comes off the second rope, and Yoko catches him with a belly-to-belly suplex. Yoko drags Hart over for the bonsai drop. Hart moves and Yoko loses his balance. Hart covers to get the pin. The crowd cheers as we have a new champion. Yoko goes after Piper. Lex Luger comes to the ring. He congratulates Bret. The ring fills up with wrestlers and celebrities to celebrate. Vince McMahon comes in as well. They show Owen in the aisle staring at Bret as they sign off. from MSG. Final thoughts. This was a tremendous show that signaled the start of the new generation of the WWF to me. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.